There's no such thing as walkies. Okay.
Now you know why this is called
You
horribly
know
awkward.
what?
See.
Yes, and there are such things as walkies. Let's just go with it. Number one
Okay.
rule of improv: yes, and.
Yes. See, I don't know these rules. But I want to know these rules. Thank you for teaching me something today. Okay. Here we go. Tower 37, are you in there?
Hang on, I'll be right there.
Yeah. Hurry up.
Oh, hey, what's up, man?
Dude, I know you've been listening in on my conversations. What's up with that, man?
What are you talking about, man?
Dude,
What
dude,
conversation?
Don't push me.
Push you? I'm not. What are you talking about, man? What conversations have I been listening in on?
Yeah.
Please
Yeah.
do tell.
What? Delilah.
Hey.
Oh, you're here. Well, both of us are here. Okay. You know Delilah, right? Tower 37?
I do, absolutely. She's actually right here with me. We've been having some coffee.
It's so good.
Is
It's delicious.
Delilah isn't. What the hell? What is this?
Well, you've never seen me, so you wouldn't know that it was me. But hi.
Hey, what is going on? I thought we were. What is this? I feel so portrayed right now. I don't feel
You got the
portrayed.
turtle.
I feel betrayed.
You got Turt Reynolds, man. Turt
okay.
Reynolds is keeping you company, okay? We just needed to hang out a little bit.
Yeah, we're just relaxing, chilling, watching the scenery, and enjoying a cup of coffee. There's nothing wrong with that, right?
Well, yeah, because I've been having these like very intimate walkie-talkie conversations, and then one day I hear the Tower 37's voice, and now I know something's going on, and I come over here, I knock on the thing, I see you, and then what? Delilah, you're here hanging out with this dude? This guy's a chump.
He had coffee. What do you want from me?
Oh, so all we need is coffee? Okay, I see how this works.
Is there something going on between you two?
I don't know. Guys always get these weird ideas in their heads in the summer, and look, this is just my job.
What do you mean? We talked a bunch. We had good times.
Hey, what's going on over there? Do you see those
Oh my God,
fireworks?
what is that? It's a
Wow.
fire!
Oh, I need you to go tell them to shut it down.
All right, this is perfect opportunity. Tower 37, go check that out.
Okay. I'll be right back.
We'll save you
Go.
some coffee.
Run. Hey, Delilah, let's, since now we're here alone, let's record a podcast.
All right. I like the sound of that.
Dude,
Well,
It's
I'm back.
1988, and we have the technology.
dude,
I'm
get
back.
out of here.
Crisis averted. Crisis averted. There was no fireworks. It was actually just some real non-threatening, non-dangerous firecrackers. That's all it was.
Oh,
So,
non-threatening firecrackers in this dry forest?
Right. Delilah, you said two creams, right?
Mhm.
4 sugars?
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
get it.
Cream of
I'm
sugar.
not even here. I guess I'm not even here. I'm gonna go sit over here by myself.
Don't be cranky.
All right, since all three of us are here, and now we're all friends, 3 is company, right? 3 is company, and
That's
3
what the
makes a great
television show said.
podcast. Yeah, this makes for a great podcast. Let's do it.
Hooray!
All right, this is what you got to say here, Sissy, with some excitement. Say, hey, Norma, give me a horribly awkward.
Hey, Norma, give me a horribly awkward.
Perfect.
Is that right?
All right, pull my notes up. Let's roll. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so terrible at this, but it's fun.
That was awkward.
So what? Who cares?
I'm sorry, Cissy. I am terrible at improv, as you can see. So
Yeah, because clearly I'm amazing, so don't worry about it.
That's the point, guys. That's why it's called horribly awkward. I never called it horribly awesome. All right.
Horribly awesome would be pretty fun, though.
All right, Scott, I'm going to introduce you first, say a couple words, then we're going to introduce Sissy, and we're going to get rolling.
sounds good.
And before we shut down the podcast at the end, I was wondering, Sissy, if you could do like some intro plugs for our shows, maybe?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, that's going to be cool. Okay, here we go. Welcome to episode 35 of Horribly Awkward. I am your host, Sean. As always, another podcast, another kick-ass, awesome guest, handpicked by me and delivered to your ear holes. Thanks for listening and downloading. You can click like and share it. If you feel you're as awesome as I feel you are, Word of mouth is a beautiful thing, guys. So use what your mama gave you. I do have a voicemail number, so drop me a line, drop me a message about anything you'd like, and I'd love to play it on the show. That number is 510-600-3475. I'm telling you guys, I would love to hear it. So tell me something. Tell me something today. Tell me how your day went. Tell me how much you dislike my show. It's all good. It's going to get played. You guys can also reach out to me the old-fashioned way at horriblyawkwardpodcast@gmail.com. On today's show, I got my buddy Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider. Scott, what's up, man?
Hey, not much, man. How you doing today, Sean?
Good. I mean, nobody really cares about you. You've been on the podcast how many times? A ton, more than anybody else.
I think I was the OG, wasn't I, on episode 1 with you?
That's true. You helped me kick it off, but I don't owe you anything because I let you come on this podcast so many times that I've basically paid you off.
You miss my voice, admit it.
I do. But Scott, dude, we have a super awesome guest today.
We do.
The best guest today.
Well, who is it?
Well, check it out. If you guys have played any decent games within the past 5 years, you've heard her voice, I promise, from Firewatch, Adr1ft, Telltale's Walking Dead Season 1, Season 2, 400 Days, and Michonne, Fallout 4, Batman Arkham Knight, Life is Strange. Dude, Life is Strange was a great game, right, Scott? That was our favorite game of last year.
It was one of my favorites, yes. It was awesome.
I'm not done yet. Wolf Among Us, Lego Marvel Avengers, Murder Soul Suspect. I could do this all day, guys. Wildstar, GTA 5, Infamous Second Son, and First Light, Halo 5. Everybody! Voice actress, Cissy Jones.
What's up? How's it going?
Yes, you are here.
Intro.
This is so awesome.
Woo. Yeah,
No.
thank you.
I'm done. I'm out of breath, you guys. The podcast is over. Thanks for coming.
All right, later.
No, I'm genuinely excited to talk to you, Sissy, because if it's not obvious, I'm a huge video game nerd, and I've never got a chance to talk to anybody that does any voice work. So it's really cool to meet you.
Awesome. Well, likewise. Thank you for that. It's fun. So hooray.
Hooray. Yeah, seriously. Scott, one day I have a gaming podcast as well. It's called Horrible Gamerz, and we do a live show. Scott was in the live. He was in the chat room, and he was talking about Firewatch, and none of us had played on the show. So I was like, Scott, come on the show right now and sell it to me in under a minute. He came on, had tons of good stuff to say about it. Nothing bad at all. He loved it. He sold it to me pretty quick. And
So quick that he didn't decide to play it until this past week.
It took a little while.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, it took a little
while.
while.
I think one of the points on that was there was this really great voice work. This character Delilah in the game was the work was just spot on. It was awesome, and he had to play it just for that reason alone.
Thank you.
Is that what I said? Isn't that what I said, Sean?
I'm pretty sure, dude. Check this out, Delilah. That game is really good. It's weird when you play a game. I think personally, you guys, if I talk too much, Sissy, just cut me off and I'll let you talk. But I personally think that voice actors are very underrated. What do you think?
Yes and no. I mean, look, you don't get into voiceover to be famous, right? But it is nice to have people call out voice actors by name because it doesn't happen often. Mm-hmm. I remember even when The Walking Dead Season 1 came out and people were like, oh, the voice acting is amazing. It's phenomenal. We're not going to mention who they are. Moving on. And I was like, what the hell? Come on. Like, give Melissa props. Give Dave Fennoy some props. Like, these people are busting their asses to make a great game. And unless it's a celebrity, unless it's Kevin Spacey and Bloggity Schmoo, whatever, like, you never hear who did it. So it has been a very welcome change to have people talk about Firewatch and talk about me and Rich and how much they enjoyed us as the characters. So that is my long-winded response to your question.
Well, the cool thing about Firewatch to me was that the conversations that you and Rich had as the two characters in the game, it just felt like natural conversation.
Well, they
It
were.
didn't feel right. I mean, it didn't feel like anything scripted. It didn't feel like it just felt like you guys were just sitting around having coffee or over a walkie-talkie like we did in our little intro there. It was very awesome, very welcome.
Well, and that speaks to Sean Vanneman, who wrote the game. He is a master writer. I mean, he wrote The Walking Dead Season 1, and he and Jake Rodkin left Telltale to then start Campo Santo, and this was their first game. And so he is just, I will work with him on all the things. I love him. But he also had Rich and I recording simultaneously. So I was here in my home studio Rich built a studio at his house, and we would Skype in just like this, and this is how we recorded the entire game.
Wow, it was recorded not like in an actual recording booth at the studio or something. You just did it at home.
Well, I have a soundproof booth at home. Like,
Right,
this is my
right.
broadcast quality booth. But yeah, yeah. And I think you probably heard on, if you listen to the One Track Gamers podcast, Rich and I live like a mile away from each other in Los Angeles, but we'd never met. And we were like, well, the characters don't really meet, so let's just not meet. And so that whole, building up of that relationship from the like really awkward beginning of like, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Down to like becoming friends. That was real. Like we are now friends, which happened because of this recording,
That's
That is
super interesting.
awesome.
which
That
never
is really
happens. It never happens. The only other time that's ever happened for me was on The Walking Dead. Like those people are like Melissa Hutchison, who's Clementine, Owen Thomas, who's Omid, Gavin Hammond, who's Kenny. Like those are all good friends of mine now, because recording that game was such an intense experience that we would all get together over beers and be like, I can't believe what they did in episode 3.
Right.
But again, like that never happens. It's always just like recorded in a vacuum. You might share an IMDb credit with somebody and be like, hey, we were in that thing together that time with the stuff. Rad, but that's it.
So I
yeah,
assume you
Really awesome.
So I assume you've met Rich in person after the recording. So
Yeah.
you guys are like, that's
Yeah.
really cool. Made a friendship out of the gig. That's awesome.
yeah, it was really cool. Yeah. So
I
rare.
I just like voice act. Okay, there's a lot of games that when you play them, it's specifically the voice acting that makes the game. I'm not saying the developers and all that stuff, the writers that didn't make the game, but I'm saying like what really stands out is the voice acting. When you play Firewatch, you become so attached with. Obviously, as you're playing as Rich's character, what's his character? Henry.
Henry.
So you're
Hank.
playing Hank. Yes, you're playing as him. You get so you hear his voice so often, you kind of start to feel like him. And he's got amazing calves in that game. That's all you can see is when you're climbing down those rocks and you throw the ropes and you climb down. You just see his big old stocky legs. And then like you hear your voice, you're Delilah. You hear your voice, and you slowly become more familiar with it. And it's such great voice work that you just forget that it's voice work. You feel like you're talking to a person. And as your guys' as the relationship develops and it changes, I would love to see how you make different choices. I mean, do you record separate lines? Is there really a difference in the lines?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had about 1,000 pages of dialogue that we had to record,
Wow.
and over 2 years. And we would get on a session, and sometimes we would record like straight through, like, okay, this is if Henry says blah blah blah, this is how you respond. This is if Henry doesn't respond to you at all, this is what you say. This is blah blah blah. And then sometimes it would be months later, and we'd have to come back to it, and Sean would be like, do you remember the time with the thing and the place, and we had you say this, but then that didn't work, so now we're going to try that. So you just go, and Sean had a really clear picture in his head of what he wanted to hear from the characters, and so it made it so much easier to make sure we got what he wanted, because he knew what he wanted, and he knew how to get it from us, which was great. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, you've got some great answers for my questions. I guess you're really used to these games with multiple choices, because from Life is Strange to Walking Dead to Wolf Among Us, all these games are. I think a lot of games are going this way with these dialogue branches.
I love it. I really, and to be fair, I'm kind of new in voiceover. The Walking Dead was my first job. So
awesome.
that's kind of how I cut my teeth, which was amazing. But I really love these narrative-driven games. I mean, it just, as an actor, it gives me a chance to really develop these full characters and do cool things with them, and really know like who they are. What are their hopes and dreams, and what are they afraid of, and stuff like that. Whereas a lot of first-person shooters are great, but it's basically just me going in and screaming grenade for 4 hours, and that's the extent of my character development.
Cover me! Grenade!
Incoming!
Incoming!
Say it louder. Say it like they're 20 feet away. Oh, God.
Incoming! Did I do good? Tell me if I'm good at voice acting. Grenade! Incoming!
There you
Shoot
go.
That,
You just
shoot
booked a
that
role
fool.
in...
Shoot him!
in the next alien invasion movie. You win.
Yes, I got it. I'm gonna be a voice actor, guys. Thank you for
There you
setting
go,
me on
pass
this
your
path.
check.
I didn't even know this till right now. This is so amazing. Me and Scott are gonna we're gonna do some voice acting, and it's gonna be terrible.
Yeah. Well, Sissy, I got two questions for you, and I'm going to apologize in advance because they're probably the questions that you get asked every single time you have an interview.
It's okay.
But the first one is, I mean, you're doing voice work in video games. Do you yourself play video games a lot, or are you?
Well, so as we mentioned earlier, the shirt that Sean is wearing is the way I learned to play video games back in the day because I'm
Hmm.
old. And but I learned to play with my finger and my middle finger, my forefinger and my middle finger, so that I could run really fast and then jump without having to take my finger off the run fast button.
Sure.
And so when the new controllers, it's controllers, right? That's what they're called now.
Yes.
Gamepad.
When those came out, he made fun of me earlier for calling them paddles. I'm just saying. When the new ones came out, and it was all like thumbs and I was like, I can't. So no, I don't. I watch a ton of playthrough.
Okay.
I really like to see what people are doing. I watch my friends play, and we'll make the choices together. With The Walking Dead, there was like a big like rap party where we all got together and played the game and everything else. But no, in terms of technically game playing, I'm so terrible.
You know what? I was
Like,
hoping
my-
when you said rap party, I thought you were gonna say you guys all got together and just did freestyles. That'd have been dope. Yeah.
No, my friend Anthony is he's like writing me a manual, like how to play. And he tried to teach me on Gone Home, and I just kept walking into the wall.
Uh,
It's
Talk
so
Yeah,
about
bad.
a great game. That's a great game.
It is a great game, but
Well,
I'm yeah. Next
even though you
question.
don't, even though you don't play the games, you said you do these. You watch some of the walkthroughs and watch other people play it. What's
Yeah.
that like to see something on the screen like that? Because I mean, obviously, Sean and I aren't even remotely famous or have done any kind of work like that. Just the thought of watching something on a TV screen that's an actual legit video game or anything with voice work in it, to be watching that and hearing your own voice as a character, is that just like the coolest feeling in the world, or what's that like?
It's a trip, man. The first time with Katya on The Walking Dead, it really freaked me out. Because like I said, it was my first job.
Hmm.
Now it's really gratifying. It's really cool because, like I said, for Firewatch, we recorded for 2 years, and it's a deeply personal game, and you have these personal conversations and blah blah blah. So it was really cool to like see it all come together and see the animation and see the choices that people were making for the dialogue um, and relive those moments of jokes or hysteria or whatever. It is a little weird, but it's really fun. And the thing I love about Delilah, I'm totally gonna branch off here and talk
Go
about something
ahead.
else.
Yeah, do it. This is the way I do it. Trust me.
But the thing I love about her is that she's not limited by what she looks like. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Hmm.
Because oftentimes I'll record a character and like I have an idea in my head of what they look like, and then I see the animation and I'm like, huh, okay, well, I guess they went there. Um, but I love that about Delilah because it gives the player a chance to decide how they feel about her based on her wits alone and not like how big are her boobs. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I love that. I love that about her.
It's a really interesting way to look at it. I have not considered that, but yeah. That doesn't happen a whole lot in games. Even if it's not something where it's overly sexualized or something like that, it's just seeing that character actually puts you in a different mindset than just hearing their voice.
It does. And it's funny because Delilah was my first main character role. And then Alex Oshima in Adr1ft was my second. And neither one of them, I guess you see a picture of Alex, but you never like see them talking to
No animation.
Yeah, yeah. And thank you, animation.
So in Adr1ft, you don't actually speak too many lines. I hear. Is that
No,
right?
no, which was a very interesting couple of recording sessions.
So how do you do that? How do you prepare? Like I'm gonna go in and like suffocate, and sound like I'm gonna die. How do you prepare for that? Do you go and like do you go out of the booth or you go into the other room and just jog? Come in and it's
Nope.
like. Let's see if I can do it. Guys, I need air. I need air. Scott, give me mouth to mouth.
Well, now we'll talk.
Pass?
You're gonna let me die. All right.
No, it was all just in the booth like a normal recording session. And again, I will tip my hat to Adr1ft, who is the creator, because he knew what he wanted to hear and how he needed the breath to sound. So he was pacing back and forth in front of the glass. So I'm in the recording booth and he's in the control room, and he's pacing back and forth, like moving his hands like a conductor so that I could understand the rhythm of the breath that he needed. And then as he started running out of air a little bit more, it's, a little faster. And then with the suffocation, it was just like, okay, we need like 30 seconds of you suffocating, go.
Wow, he's conducting an orchestra in there. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I almost passed out a few times, but I lived. I lived to tell the tale.
I'm so glad you lived. Honestly, that would have been a very sad story if like you went in to go do Adr1ft and never finished because you passed out.
Because I died. Yeah, but yeah, it was really cool. It was a lot of fun.
What is your favorite experience? What is like your very favorite experience with voice recording?
That's like Sophie's choice. Like, I don't think I can pick one because I used to work in Silicon Valley, right? I was a working stiff for like 10 years, and I hated it and I was miserable. And then I discovered voiceover, and it's like I've gotten a new lease on life. And I love every part of it. I love doing commercials. I love doing promos. I love doing video games. I love it. I mean, this is what I do for a living, and it's amazing. And even can I swear on this thing?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, even the shittiest job that I've had is still like 8-hour days, and like I'm done. I don't have to do it again. It's over, So I can't say one thing I love over the other. I love doing characters like Delilah. I love doing Joyce Price on Life is Strange. I loved Katya on The Walking Dead. I love doing Jolene on The Walking Dead because she was so fucking crazy. So it's just, I love getting to breathe for fucking 4 hours for Adr1ft. It's every day is different, and I love that.
That's really cool. And speaking of the fuck word, there's a lot of very out of place, unnecessary cussing in Firewatch, which I absolutely adored. I love it. I remember this one like line where I think one of you guys said fuck, and the other one's like fuck indeed.
Yeah. And like that's Sean. He's so funny and he's such a great writer. But and originally he was like, I kind of want to keep the fucks to a minimum because like I don't like, we don't want to get like an M or anything. And then
they
like
have more impact. They have more impact that way when they're chosen. They're like they're surgically put in there in the perfect spots. That it has more impact.
Yeah, but then like every now and then, it just demanded a fuck, and so it would be like,
yes,
well, fuck indeed. It's just the way it was, and I loved it.
I love that scene where like there's the panties and he's talking about there's like girls' panties and you're just like what are you like 12 years old?
I don't want to say that word again. Why? Because you're 12. Yeah, yes. I love that.
I love that humor. You guys, I love the connection between you and Rich in that game. It's really awesome, and I do think that voice actors are very underappreciated. But for a guy like me, I play a game, and this is something that stands out when I'm playing BioShock Infinite, which is one of my all-time favorite games. Troy Baker, Courtney Draper, right? Like her as Elizabeth, like it made me love that character. You as Delilah made me love that character. Hannah Tell as obviously, as Max makes you love that character. Her personality, it's what makes those games. And I'm not trying to take away from the people who actually build the games from the ground up, but the voices, to me, I'm one of those guys that kind of stuff stands out to me. The same way when I watch a movie, I see good acting. The good acting, it could be like a movie that's okay, but the acting could be so good, I just fall in love with it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. It's, again, I get to do what I love. So to hear that it had that kind of an impact on you, it's really gratifying. It makes me feel really good about my life choices.
Yeah, you should. You're an amazing voice actor. You are really good. I wish I can just do that. I would like to just disappear into this character for like 2 years. I didn't know it took 2 years. That's a long time. But I would love to just be a part of this character. And do you feel like I would feel like that character had a little bit of that character in me at all times through my life?
Well, Delilah's very much me. Because I worked with Sean on Walking Dead season 1, like, we knew each other. And he called me 3 years ago and he was like, hey, here's the deal. Left Telltale, started a new company, writing a new game, female protagonist. Are you in? And I was like, hell to the yes. Like, no questions asked, feet first, jumping in. And so because he knows me and he knows that I'm a complete fucking dork, there's a lot of me that he just wrote, he wrote a lot of Delilah with knowing me, if that makes sense. Like my
Sure.
personality and my like penchant for crossword puzzles and whiskey.
Nice.
So
There's one sad thing about this podcast, me meeting you personally now, is that I know Delilah isn't real, and I know I can't go meet her and go to Vegas and get married. This is very sad to me, and I just realized this. Because I thought me and Delilah were going to get married.
I'm sorry. I know I've gotten a lot of people. Like some kid wrote me a email and was like calling me Cissy Jones, a CUNT, for
What?
not waiting in the tower. And I was like, I'm like a dancing monkey, right? Like someone writes the words and they say dance monkey, and I go, duh. So yeah, the feedback has been wildly across the board from what you're saying to like, I fucking hate you. Why didn't you wait? And I'm like, because I'm an actor and the
Right.
character's not real.
It's like
Yeah.
people that actually hate the kid that plays Joffrey on Game of Thrones. Like when they see him in real life, they want to kill him. No, he's just playing a character, guys.
Yeah,
For me,
well,
though,
Rich was saying he got a lot of it with I guess his character in Mad Men was kind of an asshole, and he got a lot of people like saying horrible things to him, and he was like, I'm an actor.
right.
Wow, that's the stuff I never really think about, all this backlash. I know because it's so. Actors, voice actors, celebrities are so accessible. Like on Twitter, you can tweet at them. You know wherever else, if they're on Facebook, it's so easy to connect with people nowadays. I imagine
Yeah.
you get a lot of love, but then you might get a lot of weirdos.
But you know what? Most people have been really cool to me, with very few exception. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh, you had something in mind. You're like, oh, but except for this one.
No,
Oh, I can't-
no, listen, because again, like because I get to do what I do,
Yeah.
and I'm not doing it to be famous. I'm doing it because I love it, and it feeds my family, and it's fun. Um, there are just certain things that come with having a public persona, and that's fine. Like
Sure.
I'm never gonna do on camera, so I'm never gonna have like that level of visibility. Um, so to be recognized for my voice, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing, and I love it, and I'm grateful, and I'm gonna stop babbling.
No, you're doing great.
Yeah, for sure. What is like a dream project? Do you have any like things that would be your dream project if you can get in touch? I mean, I know you've done your dream project. Firewatch was really fantastic, and I'm not here just to
Firewatch is up there.
stroke your ego. I'm saying it was really good, and Scott definitely recommended that to me. That's why I had to have him on today. Plus, he's my rock. I'm the goofy one. I feel. I feel like I could stand on Scott and he'll hold me up for a little while.
I love that. I love that. Aw, you are the wind beneath my wings.
I know, but he won't do mouth to mouth, which is he let me die, guys. Scott let me die.
You're on your own. Just like Delilah didn't leave the tower, I'm leaving you to die. No,
Here's a picture. Dream projects, The Simpsons.
Oh, that would be
Oh.
awesome. Yeah.
Like, I don't know, Family Guys, something like that. I think that's the dream. Like, I would love to do something like that. Archer, Family Guy, whatever.
Funny.
Video game, I don't know, all the things. I want to be like the first female Batman, because why not? I don't know. I love it. I love my work. Anything, all the things. Yes. That's the answer.
All
Yes.
of them. All the things, you guys. So let's start at none of them and go all the way to all of them.
Yep.
Make that big circle and put Stacey's name right in the center of that.
That would be great. Just put it out into the universe.
That would be. What was one of your toughest work experiences? And I don't mean like a shitty job. I just mean like what was like the toughest thing to plan for or do, or maybe nerves got in the way.
Katya's final scene was really hard. Have you guys played The Walking Dead season
yeah.
1?
Mhm.
Okay. Her final scene with Kenny was heartbreaking. Like the tears that you hear in the recording were real. That it was a very intense, very emotional session. So that was hard. In terms of like physically demanding, I did a game when I was like 7 months pregnant, and it was basically 4 hours of growling and screaming and guttural emotives because they didn't want to have to translate it into different languages. And by the time I left, my throat was bleeding.
Whoa.
Wow.
And then I do a local grocery store weekly commercials here in town, and I had to go do that. And I was like, come buy broccoli. It's amazing. Uh, so those are very challenging.
Let's go back to Kenny, because Kenny's a prick, you know? I gave that guy many chances. I wanted to, I always find the dude who's an asshole, and I'm like, if I can get this asshole to be my friend and like me, and I'll do stuff for him, then we'll get along, and I won't be on the outside of this. And just like I can never get through to Kenny.
Kenny is his own man. Kenny is his own man. And the funny thing is Gavin Hammond, who plays Kenny, is lovely. He's a wonderful human being, and he's very generous and very kind. And Kenny's an asshole.
Kenny is definitely an asshole. If you could play voice a character, and whatever, okay, if you believe that character, like you believe the way Kenny is Kenny, you believe, when you're like Delilah, you believe that is a character, a real character. You're doing a great job, because there's a lot of voice acting, and I'm not putting down anybody, but there's some that you don't completely believe, or it's not that you don't believe it. It doesn't pull you in to the emotional. It doesn't have that emotional impact that it would,
Yeah.
whether it's good or bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that goes back to the writing and directing. We had Sean Vanneman writing season 1, and the director Julian Kwasniewski, who is just the best director I've ever worked with, and I love that guy. He has an ability to get reads out of people that is just uncanny, and he's so nice, so awesome, so talented, and someone again that I talk to on a regular basis because of that job.
I want to know when you're doing this. Oh,
Go ahead, Scott, dude. You're here, man. Go ahead, man. You're my rock.
You mentioned when you were doing the recordings on Firewatch how you and Rich, basically did it actually live, where you were actually in the booth together, so it felt very conversational. Is that like a common thing, or are you pretty much reading lines by yourself and not having that interaction?
Usually it's in a void. So I might go to the studio. I've got my script in front of me, and we read line by line. They might have the recordings of the other character. They might not. It might just be, hey, we don't know how this is going to play, so let's try it 4 different ways and see which one works best. And then they mash it together at the end, and you get what you get, which is what I loved so much about recording for Firewatch, because Sean was like, listen, the entirety of this game hinges on the believability of the relationship. And in order for the relationship to be believable, these need to be real conversations. And so it worked out that way. The only other time I've done that was for Batman, as Nora Freeze. I got to sit in the booth like next to Maurice LaMarche, who is not only Dr. Freeze, but you guys, he was Brain on Pinky and the Brain. Okay, like he's
really?
the voice
Okay.
of my childhood,
Yeah.
and like a huge role model for me. So to sit next to him and be like, oh my God, be professional.
That's like
it was
me
awesome.
right before this podcast. I'm like, Scott, I'm nervous. What do I do, man? Once I get rolling, it takes me 5 minutes to warm up, and then I'm good. But it does take me a little bit of time. Just, I don't know. I get a little nervous. I don't get nervous with Scott. Like I've said, Scott's a nobody. I've known him for a while. As long as his check clears, he can come on the podcast.
Nice.
Speaking of all these, speaking of all these awesome people that you've mentioned, let's do some shout outs, Cissy.
Okay.
So I'll I'll do I got a couple shout outs I'm gonna do after here, then I'll have you do all yours.
Just
You
to
good?
anybody?
Okay, it could be your parents, it could be your kids, it could be voice actors, it could be actors, it could be a TV show, it could be anything you want to give a shout out. This is just kind of a fun thing. I just like to, I don't know.
Okay.
I've been doing this lately, and it just seems kind of fun because people come on and give a bunch of shout outs to things I may not have heard of. And
Okay.
Okay. So first off, I want to give a shout out to John, Corey, and Amanda from the One Track Gamers. Those guys are my buddies, and if it wasn't for hearing Cissy on their podcast, I wouldn't know this is actually possible. And I was like, I got to get her on the podcast. I talked to John. He's like, dude, just hit her up. And I did. And I got nervous. I'm afraid of rejection, but it happened, and she's here. Also want to give a shout out to the actress Emily Goss, who was on last episode 34, if you haven't heard that. She'll be on ABC's Castle this Monday, so check that episode out. If you don't watch Castle, watch it at least on Monday. Check out Emily. Listen to the podcast. Hear how I really dropped the ball on that interview. I was not prepared, and I feel so weird about it now, but it's out there. Episode 34. Cissy, Give some shout outs.
I'll definitely give a shout out to John, Corey, and Amanda as well for having me on their podcast. It was a lot of fun. Um, shout out to everybody that's played the games and actually, enjoyed them and had things to say. Thank you. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yay.
Just, shout outs all around. There's so much love, guys. So much
There
love.
is. It's fun just to tell everyone. It sucks when you're put on the spot because you're like afterward you go, I didn't give a shout out to this person and that person.
I know.
Okay. Okay.
Keeping it
But
vague.
everybody. So big circle, like I said.
Big circle.
Big circle. The globe is actually, circle. So we'll just take that and circle the whole thing from outer space. We'll go adrift. We'll be out there in the space station and we'll circle the Earth. Everybody who's
good.
in there gets a shout out from Cissy. Scott, anybody want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I got two quick ones. The first is Josh from my podcast, The Gaming Outsider. He is my rock on that show because he does all of the legwork in terms of editing and producing. So I basically record, put together formats and talk, but then he does all this cutting and pasting and adding all the music and sound effects, and it's pretty awesome there. Also, I want to give a shout out to my wife Stephanie, who is in the other room watching Pitch Perfect 2.
Nice.
She puts up with a lot of my shenanigans in terms of podcast recording. I do one podcast myself. I'm a regular guest on another, The Hollywood Outsider, and then I'm constantly doing side episodes with Sean here or some other people on other episodes. And she gets annoyed, but she puts up with it. So especially because like I don't have a soundproof studio like you do there, Cissy. So whenever I record, I have to go shut the heat off. And I know you're in California, so it's not you don't have to worry about the cold as much as we do. But I sometimes forget to turn the heat back on after I'm done recording, and then we wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and she's completely mad because it's an ice cube in here, and she still lets me do this. So shout out to her.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah, shout out to my future wife. I don't know who she is. She was going to be Delilah, but now that's not possible. So shout out to whoever she is. She's going to be amazing. I promise you guys.
That's right. I'll shout out to my husband who's out with the kids right now.
Shout out to Sissy's husband. He's got to be the coolest dude ever, right?
He is. He's the raddest.
How many
Raddest. I
kids
love
do you
you just
have?
use rad. Raddest. That was amazing.
He's a,
How many-
we have
how many-
2 kids.
2. How old are they?
2 kids. And fun fact, with my first, I was in labor while recording for 400 days.
Oh wow.
Finished that session and had a kid 3 hours later. And with my second, it was during recording for Firewatch. Had her, and 8 days later, I was back in the booth as Delilah. So,
Nice.
voiceover, guys. It's so awesome because I can be crazy pregnant and still do my job.
It's an art. It's an art. It's definitely an art, and it really takes a talented person to, like I was saying, pull you in and bring that emotional impact, because not everyone can do it. I can't do it. I mean, look at the way I talk. My brain is like, I am like a constant like conversation tree. It just goes up and then I just start taking branches, and I'm like a monkey. I jump from branch to branch. I'm basically the Jungle Book, the real life version. That's the way my brain works. Okay.
I would do it in a heartbeat. I would absolutely love to do it. And I have no idea how to. I mean, I'm not going to give up my career as a teacher, but I would just love to have like a side gig to do something like that.
Yeah.
So I've developed a plan. And Cissy, I'm going to ask you if you think this is a good idea or not. One of my friends here in town in Rockford, his daughter, when she was in 5th grade, which was last year, she wrote a book. Not even joking. She wrote a novel. It's a cute little story. It's a thick book too. She's very, very intelligent. She's gifted in the gifted program. And they had a program at her school where they encourage all these kids to write a book, and their parents would edit it for them and all this kind of stuff. And she wrote a actual novel. You can go buy it on Amazon right now. No joke. And what I decided to do, and as a surprise to her, because she's such a good student and Scott's a really good friend, is this summer when I'm on summer vacation from school, I'm going to do a audiobook form of it. I've got like the audio, I podcast 2-3 times a week, and I've got like my own little booth set up here. So I'm gonna do my best to record it, and then just kind of like give it to her as a surprise, and say, here you go, because she's like in 6th grade now, and then just, I don't know, put it out there and see what happens if anybody likes it. And I don't know, I have no idea. I don't want to make a career out of it. I just would love to have my name in the credits of a video game at some capacity outside of a Kickstarter. I think my name was in the Amplitude credits because I paid for the Kickstarter on that one. And
Nice.
some artistic capacity, I want to be in a video game. It's like a lifelong dream of mine. And I figured that's my best plan of attack. What do you think? You think
I
I
love it. I think that's a really great idea. I think that's a really great idea. Put it out on Twitter, put it on Facebook, like put it everywhere.
Okay, Scott.
awesome?
So you see this? I'm holding bullshit. I'm gonna put all my bullshit aside. All right.
Okay.
I think you actually have a really good voice for voice acting. You've got like
You
that,
do.
like Rich's voice is very confident and demanding. It's a very strong voice. Like I don't have that voice, dude. I think you could do it if you really wanted to. I think you'd be very good at it.
I'd love to. Just got to figure out how to. It's hard being in the Midwest. I'm nowhere near Hollywood, so but
Take acting classes.
yeah.
That's the start. Just it's all about acting. It's all about learning to act. I had never taken acting classes before, ever. Um, and just start. You got to start somewhere.
Sure.
Journey of 1,000 miles, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, dude, Scott. I think you got something going. If you want some acting lessons from me, I'll take your money. I will definitely take your money, all the money you want to send me, and I'll teach you some stuff.
Okay. Well, like I mentioned earlier, I teach fourth grade, and my favorite part of my day is when I get to read a novel to my students. You know, like we're like
Yeah.
whatever. Right now we're reading a book called Loot. It's like a heist story, but it's the characters are kids, are like
Awesome.
teenagers. And I love reading stories to them because, and the kids get a kick out of it. I do a different voice for every one of the characters,
Yeah.
and they're so engrossed in it, and they laugh at the goofy like voices that I come up with the characters. And this is my third year of teaching, so I've started to repeat some of the books and use the same voices. And I remember from the year before, like, oh, that's the voice I used here. And then sometimes teachers will come in and just listen to me do it, and they comment and say they like it. So like it makes me feel like I have a shot. I
You
just
know,
gotta make it happen.
there's a lot of people that get started that way. There are a
Yeah.
lot of people that get started in voiceover in exactly that manner, and especially
Mhm.
doing audiobooks, which is a beast that I have not saddled and probably won't. But um, it's legit. It's a legit way to start.
Well, I hope so. I mean, the book she wrote it's not like a Game of Thrones length or anything. That it's like 200 pages, and it's
That's
really
awesome.
large print and everything. I feel like I'm selling somebody on a book that I'm going to read. It's the words are really big and there's hardly any pictures. No, but
You just sold me, man. I could read some from the very, comic books are confusing to me. That's too much reading.
I have no idea where to go with it because I feel like when I speak naturally, I speak too quickly. I listen to audiobooks a lot, and they sound very like they stretch out their words a lot longer than I do when I normally talk. You know what I mean?
Because, I mean, if you think about an audiobook, right, your job as the narrator is to paint the pictures.
Right.
So you're not, a lot of times in copy, they want conversational. They want it to sound like you're talking to your best friend. But in an audiobook, you're drawing the people in. You're painting these amazing images for them and making sure that their mind's eye sees what's going on. So
Hmm.
you have the ability to embellish a little bit more than you would in, say, a commercial or even video game to some extent, because in video game, you already have the picture there. I'm just supporting it, right?
Hmm. Sure.
So embellish. Why not?
Awesome. Well, I
I've
didn't mean to
also
talk
heard
about myself
Cissy.
so much. Sorry.
Dude, this is the conversational podcast, Scott. We want to hear about this stuff. I didn't know this about you. Now I'm fascinated. Now I like you a little more, dude. I promise.
Now he's going to have you on his podcast as a guest.
Yeah,
Ooh.
now I like you. I can use your name, Scott Clark, the famous Scott Clark. As my look at me and Scott Clark, my co-host. I can say my co-host Scott Clark.
Nice.
I'm excited. But Sissy, I heard you do some like celebrity soundalikes.
Oh yeah, I actually do a fair amount of that for movie trailers. So like The Huntsman just came out last weekend and tanked. And I do Charlize Theron soundalike because she's not available or too expensive to come in and do one-off, one-liner pickups.
How does
So
that work?
I
Can you do it? Show me your
do all the
best.
Charlize Theron soundalikes. She's South African, but she speaks in a British accent for The Huntsman, and she has kind of a deeper register when she talks. And so it's just, going in and saying lines that either weren't clean enough in the original recording or don't exist in the original recording for the trailers.
That's
I
fascinating.
told my co-host on Horrible Gamers about that yesterday. He's like, "What? Wait a minute. You're blowing my mind. It's not
I've
just
done
Charlize Theron the whole time."
I've done Rebel Wilson for Pitch Perfect 2. I did Mia Wasikowski for Through the Looking Glass. I did Emma Thompson for Burnt. What if you fail? Oh, what if you succeed? What else?
Yes, that's so awesome. You did Nicki Minaj. Is that what you
I
said? I
did
heard.
Nicki Minaj, yes.
How do you
which
do that one?
blows my fucking mind. God, I can't remember what she said. She has kind of like a Minnie Mouse sound when she talks, and she was talking about the straight out of Compton, but I'm a girl out of Compton.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's an amazing little facet of the business if you can get in. It's
You
great.
could probably do a really good Harley Quinn.
I don't know her well enough. I do.
Mr. J. How does he say it, Scott? How does she say it? Like Dr. J, Mr. J.
Mr. J.
Mr.
Very
J.
high pitch, very Brooklyn.
Okay. Well, I'll have to study that one because God knows they're going to be trailering the crap out of that.
Yeah, they already have.
I did Diane Lane for Inside Out. I did a lot of her stuff as the mom. What else? What else have I done?
I love it. I love you just switch between them. That's so cool. I don't know any accents. I just know the dumb American accent.
So you're just studying, man. Just study the people around you. There's so many amazing tics and accents and things to pick up on. There's also a great website called the International Dialects of English Archive, which is just this database of recordings of people from various parts of the world speaking in English, which is great for learning accents. So, yes.
This is all so interesting to me. I'm so glad you came on. I haven't had a chance to sit down with any voice actors.
Me either.
So this is something completely new. I knew Scott would totally be into this. That's why, like I said, Scott's my rock.
Well, thank you guys. I thank you again for having me on. It's really nice to meet you both and to get the chance to chat with you both.
It was an honor to meet you. Honestly, anything that has to do with artistic in terms of movies, video games, I'm fascinated by it. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. I'm one of those guys.
Well,
though. I'm seriously one of those people who just when I hear voices, I just get so pulled in when it's a really good voice acting, and that's like the first thing you notice when you play Firewatch. I haven't played Adr1ft. I played Life is Strange was almost my favorite game last year. The only reason it wasn't is because Tomb Raider came out, because Lara Croft, that's my number one chick, but I know she's not realistic to get married to. That's like my number one.
Totally unavailable.
Totally unavailable. She's always out doing these escapades and searching these tombs, and like I can never get a hold of Laura. She's crazy. Like
my good friend Kay Best was in that Tomb Raider as oh God, I forget. Was it Anna? Is that the older lady not older, but like the female friend of Lara Croft who has a twist in the middle?
Oh, what is her name? Yeah, you're talking about the one that was married to her dad in there.
Yeah.
What?
So my friend Kay was her voice, and she was actually the voice of the Property Brothers for years and years. She did the narration for the Property Brothers, and that was her first video game, and I was very proud of her.
Awesome. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm so excited right now. I just go play. You know what I mean? I'm so excited. I go play Firewatch again. Anything you do from now on, I'm gonna be super hyped over. Okay. I turned the recording off. You have to tell us some stuff that nobody knows.
I wish I could, but then I'd be breaking NDAs, and then I'd get fired, and I'd never work in the business again.
Nobody. They will never know.
Trust me, when they come out, I'll announce it.
Awesome. What is I had a question and it totally slipped my mind. We were talking about NDAs.
Uh-oh.
Okay. What is one thing about the industry that you're in that you think that just nobody would know? An interesting fact that maybe nobody would know. It could be something small. It could be something big.
I think the thing people don't realize is how prevalent voiceover is. Like, there are people who get paid to record call trees. Thank you for calling AT&T customer service. For blah, 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 press 1. That's a job, guys. That's good money right there. Audio tours, commercials, obviously everybody knows, but like they're like all over. If you just listen, there's voices everywhere, and
The White
somebody's getting
Zone.
paid. Oh, here's a good one. The voice of Clementine, Melissa Hutchison, and Gavin Hammond, who's the voice of Kenny, are both the male and female versions of Furby.
Get out of town.
That's a voice,
Wow.
guys. They're paid good money to do it. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that
Okay. Yeah.
That is insane.
Nobody
I just
knew
saw
that.
both your minds get blown right there. Both of you
Yeah,
were like,
All right. Let's do this. Let's do this. This is gonna be my new voicemail. Sissy, give me the best. Like, hey, you've reached horribly awkward voicemail line. Leave a message or just say it could be. I don't know. I haven't planned this out, but it could be awesome. Give me your best
All right.
AT&T, but as horribly awkward.
You have reached Horribly Awkward. Please leave a message at the tone. Oh, God. Now it's awkward.
That's so good. That is so good. Seriously. Now, I remember back in the day having to call Movie Phone to get the times and stuff. before, like,
phone.
Yeah, you have reached Movie Phone. If you like a movie you like to press 1. If you want to browse through current movie titles and blah, blah, press 2.
Yep.
I used to call that all the time. Or Popcorn, you call for the time. The current daylight standard time is 3:17.
See, calling movie phone was always a disaster for me because whenever I would call, it was voice activated. You had to say the name of the movie, and my brother, who was a dick, would be in the background and like he'd be like, "Titanic, Godzilla." You just say like random movies, and I'm trying to like find whatever current movie is up, and he's be saying movies that are like 5-6 years old.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's fun. Hey, Sissy, I got some rapid fire questions. You want to do them?
Okay, bring it.
Awesome. Okay, hold on. Where's my... Okay, I have 2 screens right now. Sometimes it's hard to find the mouse sensor. I was in the other screen. Okay, so I'll set this for 1:10. This should be no problem. I got 10 questions here. We'll roll through them as quick as we can. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
Which fast food restaurant has the best fries?
Wendy's.
What's one thing you would change about yourself if you could?
I pass.
What's your all-time favorite movie?
Usual Suspects.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say horribly awkward podcast?
Awkward as balls.
If you could go back in time to when you were a kid and tell yourself one thing, what would it be?
Everything gets better.
Who is your celebrity crush?
Most deaf.
Really awesome. What's your weapon of choice in a zombie outbreak?
Machete.
Build a 3-topping pizza.
Canadian bacon, pineapple, and mozzarella.
Oh, we're best friends now. If you just won the lottery, what's the first 3 things you would buy?
College tuition for my daughters, a house for my parents, and a house for my aunt and uncle.
Great. Another guess that doesn't buy me anything. Okay, if you legitly saw Bigfoot in the woods, would you tell anybody or just think everyone will think you're crazy?
Both.
Oh, hold on. My ride's here. Uber. My Uber's here. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, nobody ever buys me anything in there. Not yet has anyone bought me anything. So
Sorry.
that sucks. You did great though. It's hard. Some of those are tricky. Like, what's one thing you change about yourself if you could? It could be something simple. Mine would be definitely my eyesight.
Yeah, I don't know. I try not to go down the rabbit hole. You know what I mean? It's too easy, especially as a chick. It's like, ugh, no. Be happy with what you have, guys.
Yes, you should be happy because you're way too awesome. Do you have any like embarrassing stories you could tell us
About voiceover or just in general?
about anything in your life? Any cool stories you think that would be fun or embarrassing that you would think the people who are listening would want to hear?
She looks like she's got one.
I don't know. I already told you I was in labor during a recording session. Embarrassing stories. I don't know. I'm kind of just a big dork, and my dad, when I was growing up, was always like trying to embarrass me, so it takes a lot for me to get embarrassed anymore.
Oh, that's the
So I just don't
best
do it.
parents that try to embarrass their kids. I wish I had those kind of parents. My mom was more like, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm like, whatever, own it. This is
That's
who I
awesome.
am. Eh.
You've got to be super fun with your... How old are your kids, if you don't mind to ask?
I have one who is 8 months old and one who's almost 3.
I imagine when they get a little older and they start playing games, you're going to be hearing your voice all over the place. You're going to be the funnest mom ever. I'm excited for them, to be
Unless
honest.
they're like, oh God, mom's in this one. I don't like. My brother emailed me about Firewatch, and he was like, "Hey, I saw Firewatch was in like Wired magazine or something. Congratulations, I'll have to play it." And I was like, "Yeah, you're kind of supposed to fall in love with my character." And he was like, "Oh God, oh no."
Yes, that's so cool. And we do. Delilah was such a delight. She was Delilah, all right?
Delilah. Oh, that was bad, Sean. That was bad.
Okay,
I'm just
okay.
glossing over it.
Before I totally flub this whole podcast, guys, we'll wrap it up. I just want I really want to Okay, I'm at a loss for words right now. I really want to say thank you. It's the simplest way I could say it, for coming on the podcast, taking your time out of, your busy schedule. You have kids, you have a life. I do not. I really appreciate when people come on, especially, people like you who I look up to and I'm so fascinated with.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all your kind words and for playing the games and for enjoying it. I love what I do, and it really makes me happy to know that you guys like it. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming. It was fascinating to talk to you, genuinely. I love the idea of voice work, and I feel like I've learned a lot about it. So looking forward to seeing what else you got coming down the pipeline.
There's a lot, and I can't
Yeah.
talk about any of it.
It's all good.
Can we take guesses, and then you can tell me hot or cold?
I literally, if I ever want to work in this business again, I got to keep my trap shut.
Yeah, that's smart. That's definitely smart. You never want to get on bad terms, because then you'll lose all the good work, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is true. That is true. And I just love the work too much.
Yeah,
But
that's awesome.
keep me posted on the book and the podcast and stuff. I don't know if I know who both of you are on the Twitters, but I follow Horribly Awkward, but
That's me. Yay.
My handle is Scotty Lindsay. I'll make sure to point it out, and if I ever do get that thing recorded, I'll send it to you too.
Do and don't if you ever when you do.
When I do it,
send it to me.
Try. Okay, thanks, Yoda. Try not to.
Do or do not. There was no try.
Yeah, Scott, we see some stuff in your future. I think you should really kick that off, but always drop my name somewhere in there, like very silently, like a cough or Sean, horribly awkward.
I'd like to thank my inspiration, Sean. They call me Iams Fuller.
Thank you, man. That actually makes me feel really good. I feel like I have a friend in you. I got a friend in you.
Awesome. Not at all how the song goes.
Guys, I just saw Jungle Book yesterday, and I got that stupid King Louis song stuck in my head. I cannot get it out. I want to be like you. I want to walk like you. It's just stuck in my head over and over since I watched the movie last night, and they played it.
Have kids, and then we'll talk about songs getting stuck in your head, okay? That's all I'm going to say. I've had, Old MacDonald rattling around in my brain for, 3 fucking years, so...
Let's do it. Ready? Old MacDonald had a farm.
No.
Oh, you're such a jerk, Sean.
Let's do it.
She just got out of her head.
Okay. Well, hey, when she said that, it was back in. Trust me, I promise. It had nothing to do with me. All right, guys. So it's time to wrap it up. There's only one thing left.
Uh-oh.
That's just me saying that. It's the wrap up part. So as I edit out me saying this, this would be sound like there's music. There's music, and then you just where everyone can find you, where all the stuff you want to plug. This is your plug section, so go as long as you want, say as little as you want. It's all about you.
Cool. You can find me on the Twitters. I'm at Cissy Speaks, and I don't really have much of a Facebook page, so Twitter's where it's at. That's all I got.
You're there though. I found you on Facebook, so you're there.
I'm there. I just don't do much with it. Pretty much whatever I post on the Twitters goes to the Facebook, so.
Which is a good thing, because actually some people just don't know, me, about a year ago, I had no idea what to do with Twitter. I had no idea how to use it, so I didn't. It was really confusing, so a lot of people just stick with Facebook because it's easier.
Well, I've been fired from jobs for not having enough Twitter followers, so I'm trying to beef that up.
Oh, are you serious, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a thing.
It's different. See, I follow a lot of people. It's more of a community with me. People follow me, I follow them back. It's really tough if you're not super active on Twitter, to just get random people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Twitter's a pain in the ass, and I hate that people actually take that into consideration.
I do, but you know what? It's been so fun to get to meet people and have people from all over the world say things and be able to respond to them and not have it be as, sometimes it's somebody found my email address and I was like, that's a little personal, but Twitter's good. Twitter's good. Mm-hmm. We can be Twitter friends. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You hear a knock on your door, Cissy, I found your address. Hey.
Thanks, Gamergate.
You just
Wait.
Get off my lawn.
Edit that out.
Get
Edit
off my
out.
lawn. Scott, what you want to plug, man?
You can find The Gaming Outsider on iTunes and Stitcher, whatever your podcast catcher app of choice is. We also have a website, thegamingoutsider.com. We got a pretty good community over on Facebook as well, called The Gaming Outsider. Lots of good conversations there, so check us out there.
Awesome. Awesome. So you guys know where you can find me, Horribly Awkward Podcast. I'm on the BS Podcast Network. You can go to bspodcastnetwork.com. There's a lot of other awesome shows like Pure BS Podcast, Science Faction, Real Stupid Podcast, Geek Dig, Bitches Who Do Work, that's actually the name, Dropping Loads, that's actually the name, War Pod, and the XD Experience. All these awesome shows are on the BS Podcast Network. I'm on the Social Dozen once a month, so check us out. You can find us on Twitter at Social Dozen, and you can find me on Twitter at awkward_podcast, or my personal account, which is at They Call Me Iams, which nobody follows. So if you want to be a sweetheart and make a change, and to do that, guys, I'm calling out to you. Do it at They Call Me Iams. Iams is spelled just like the dog food, just like the cat food. And that this is always
Make
so
that
long-winded.
change.
I get through half of this, and I'm like, why is this so long? HorriblyAwkwardPodcast@gmail.com if you guys want to send me an email. My voicemail number is 510-600-3475. And that other podcast that I do, that gaming podcast that I do, where you can hear me talk about lots of cool shit like Firewatch, is Horrible Gamerz, spelled with a Z, lame ass Z. Ass is spelled with 2 Z's. And me and Scott, we work for, we don't work for peanuts, we work for those iTunes reviews. So find us, rate us, review us on iTunes if you're nice enough and kind enough to do so. Cissy, what is one thing you've learned on today's show?
What is one thing I've learned on today's show? I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
Some of those, I react the same way. I never can find it. We can learn that, Scott. What I've learned
Sunday.
today.
I don't learn well on Sundays.
What I've learned today is that Scott wants to be a voice actor, and I think he could do it.
I think you could as well.
Fingers crossed. Thanks. I appreciate it.
So me, Stacy, me, Sissy, and Scott are gonna do a 3-way high five right now. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3, go!
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, the podcast is over. Thank you again.
Thank
I need
you
you
guys.
to say one last thing, Sissy. You ready?
Okay, bring it.
Say, as Gidget would say, peace out, Brussels sprouts.
All right. As Digit would say, peace out, Brussels sprouts.
Woo! Sweet. Sweet! Yay! We got to the end. I made it to the end. I didn't feel like a complete dummy. This was kind of neat.
I did.
What? Oh, okay. With that said, I'm going to stop the video recording. Ready?